Go for it, Paul.
Testing 1, 2. Here we go. Today on Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn about a very touching topic.
And 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey everyone! Welcome to Quality Time with Family Ties. I am one of your hosts, Scott Jones. Joining me as always is Mr. Paul Packler.
I am perfect. I am Paul Packler
He's turned
is
it to
perfect.
cat. He's turned it to Catwoman. I'm perfect.
Oh, looking forward to more puns. And as always, from joining us from Cloud9, Corey Pepper.
Back here today, having a great day. It's beautiful out today. What's it like
nice
where you are, Paul? Is it nice and warm like it is here?
It's
Yeah,
it's a
how's New York?
balmy 31.
A balmy 30.
I'm sorry. I just have the doors open because it's 85 and it's sort of warm back here today.
Yeah, it's nice breeze too. It's nice.
Yes.
It feels good. Feels good, Paul. Feels good. Well, guys, if you're following along with us, we are on Season 1, Episode 6, and it even creeps me out to say the title of this episode, Give Your Uncle Arthur a Kiss. Oh, God, this episode.
Oh, boy.
This was just a
Wow.
ball of good times. Okay, so to put this in context for the listeners, this is what would be referred to in the late 70s all the way through the 80s as a very special episode. And this was a big trend. I remember these growing up, where your usual good time sitcom would take a moment for an episode to kind of address something, a social ill or something going, a serious topic. And I always remember them as horrific. Like, they just
Perfect meaning like you were, as a child, like, stunted in your growth. Like,
yeah, yes.
Well,
It is-
that
it
explains
is-
it, Scott.
It explains why I am only 5'3". That's exactly it. That's absolutely it. It stunted me in my growth just because of how heavy-handed they were. Like, they always the humor was always just sucked out of them. Even most of the time, the endings, while ended on a hopeful note, still kind of left you feeling as a kid like the world is a horrible place.
You know, but they do end up. The nice thing that they do is at the end you get to see a side of someone in the episode that you've never
True.
seen before. It usually reveals something. I think of the great All in the Family episode when Edith Bunker was raped. And of course,
Yeah.
yeah.
it just sounds ridiculous, but it brought out a soft side of Archie where Archie took care of Edith. You didn't ever see that.
Very true.
I remember an episode of Maude where she announced that she got pregnant when she was in her 50s, and she and her daughter, played by Adrienne Barbeau, she had to tell her daughter she was getting an abortion.
Yeah, I do remember that. Norman
It
Lear
changes
really handled those
relationships.
really well. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think as it went on from there, though, it almost felt like the network felt a duty to do a very special episode.
Absolutely. They were compelled to do it, but they didn't necessarily have the facilities to handle it deftly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I would also say that the changing tides of the culture between the 70s and the 80s, that things became a lot more reactionary, where, you know, the kids on Different Strokes got abducted by some creepy crypto
Bicycle Guy. The Bicycle Guy episode.
Every
still haunts me
fucking
to this
week
day.
those kids were getting abducted. Whereas
Oh my
in the
God.
70s, with things like All in the Family and its spin-offs, you had much more, like you said, deft handling of these conversations. But then you had shit like, you know, I'm sure on My Two Dads they had someone getting molested, or, you know.
Right. And that's what it became very narrow in the 80s, because it usually revolved around either child abuse, kidnapping, or drugs. Those were like the three topics I remember. And I was almost certain as a kid I was going to get kidnapped. I was dead sure at some point someone was going to approach me to try to kidnap me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I made reference to this show earlier in an earlier episode about the the miniseries My Name is Steven.
Yes.
That fucking destroyed me for years, because in the end credits they say that the guy that molested the kid, Stephen blah blah blah, was going to be released from prison in 1991, and I was just freaking out, and I still.
And what, you thought he was going to get out
Stephen
of prison? He was going to get out of prison and go to the Packler house in Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Yes. I'm with you, Paul. I thought someone was going to. I was dead sure. This was drilled into my head. At some point, someone was going to approach me, probably when I was at school on the playground, and say my parents had to, or were in the hospital or something, and I'm a friend of theirs, and you need to come with me to go to them. I knew that was going to happen to me as a kid.
And you need your code. You need Donald Duck. You know.
Yes. Yeah. It was. So if you want to know, audience, why we are the way we are, this is it.
Amongst other things.
Amongst a lot of other things. But let's jump right into this. So we finally actually get to see where Stephen works at public broadcasting. That's where this episode starts off, and they are doing a fundraiser, like most public broadcasting has to do. I remember later on in the series, they kind of joke about Steven's job. Like, the kids don't think it's that great. Like, they kind of think it's lame. And I remember growing up, I used to think it was awesome that he worked at a TV station. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Because it was a comfortable TV station. It wasn't a big conglomerate. It was a local TV station. It was PBS. Hell, they mentioned Masterpiece Theater, great performances, Sesame Street. Yeah, that's what we all got on PBS.
Yeah.
It was he had a cool job. And so they're doing this fundraiser, and the kids and Elise have all come down to help out, answer phones. And this guy, Arthur, who they describe as Uncle Arthur, not their real uncle, a friend that they've known for years, is also he's getting ready to leave his job, and this is kind of like his last hurrah working at the station.
Yeah, he's moving to another city, and he's going to be at a new station. I think a private local station in somewhere in the South. Because later Steven says howdy do as if he were going to like Dallas or something.
It's like Texas. Yeah, it's like Texas. I think I think it's Houston.
Did they mention that? Okay.
I think it's Houston. I think. Not that it's important, but.
Before we get, because I mean, this whole episode is about cat out of the bag. Mallory gets molested.
Let's just let that out right now.
But I want to give the people some fun info before we get to
good. Yeah, let's please.
Can we just qualify one thing? When we say the word molested,
yes,
we should probably put it in quotes.
Yeah, it's abuse. It's abuse.
She's sexually assaulted. I would say that.
Yeah, sexually assaulted is a very good term for this. Yeah,
she certainly steps over the line, but there's nothing else going on. And I think life can go on pretty well if they get this dude out of their lives.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. That's absolutely.
I would say Mallory therapy. You know, just the traumatic incident and what that means to her as herself, and
a little bit of trauma.
She doesn't blame herself in some way for this.
She's definitely confused by it and everything. But absolutely. So Paul, the fun info.
Okay, the fun info. Two things. First off, something I never realized and then started doing the math because Mallory's 15 and she's being, sexually assaulted. I looked at the opening credits and it says DC June 66, the Polaroid or picture of them at the protest in the opening credits.
Okay.
I looked, and the only protest that happened in DC was in May 1966, so they got that wrong.
Okay.
Second, if Alex is 17 years old in 1982, he would have been born in 1965, and from the montage in the opening credits, we see that Elise and Steven are meeting at this protest.
He would have been born already by this time.
Exactly. And then, something else, this is number 2. So first of all, everything on Family Ties is a lie, then.
Right. Well, that wraps up this podcast. Okay, let's go. We're done. End of series.
The theme song is sung by two people, as we said in the past, that aren't Denise Williams and Johnny Mathis.
Right.
They are sung by Dennis Tufano and Mindy Sterling.
Now,
Mindy Sterling?
I looked that up too, Paul. I saw that it was sung by Mindy Sterling, and I thought to myself, not Frau Farbissina.
Yeah,
Right. It's her?
There's no way. Is it really her?
it's really her.
Wow.
Are you sure?
Yeah, from the Groundlings, Frau
Yeah.
Parvis, for our
One of
listeners
my-
from the Austin Powers movies.
One of my
That's-
closest friends at New York Film Academy, another improv teacher, been a groundling for 30 years and helped to create Pee-wee's Playhouse with Paul Rubens
Oh,
and
sure.
Mindy Sterling. I have to ask him if that's true now, that
Yeah.
Mindy Sterling, because I know
find
he's
out.
dear friends with her.
That's crazy. And also, you know, go ahead, Corey. Sorry.
Did they write it, by the way, too, those two?
No, it was definitely written by a songwriting team, but these two were the first people to do it, and they do it for the first 10 episodes, as we said before. But I was just...
They did like a studio recording of it before getting another recording with Denise Williams and
Johnny Mathis. Yeah, but also Dennis Tufano is one of the lead singers of the Buckinghams.
Really?
So it's so weird.
Wow,
Yeah,
this is
they're
weird.
like
Why do you need a re-recording of this? Like,
yeah. So I mean,
it's why?
the Buckinghams sang "Kind of a Drag," you know, "Kind of a Drag,"
Drag.
and then "Mercy, Mercy, Mercy." She got the kind of loving. You can buy all these songs of Paul Packer interprets the Buckinghams.
Oh, that's a CD. Here's a CD we all want. Paul Packer interprets.
It'll be available. His single will drop next week on iTunes, guys.
Wow.
Be sure to download it. And Mindy Sterling, if you're listening to this, please come on the show and sing the Family Ties theme song. Paul will sing it with you.
Ooh,
You will
that would be
join
my
in with-
dream.
It would be awesome. It'd be fantastic.
Absolutely. But anyway, that's my fun info.
That's great.
Did anybody notice right off the bat in scene one, the employee, Richard,
Yes.
had a giant thumb wound. His thumb is
Yeah.
bandaged. And it was such a
Yeah.
big bandage, I kept on wondering, is this a plot point? Nope, never showed
Nope.
the plot.
No,
Nope.
never.
He slammed his thumb in his dressing room door, and they just sort of taped it up and sent him out on set.
Yeah, I was like, oh, yeah, because I was like, he's so spasticky. I was figuring they were going to reference it like he's.
That's what I thought too.
Like,
And I was like, yeah, he
Nope.
has a big bandage on his thumb.
Yep. And so back to what's about to take place here. We meet Arthur. I mean, from the get-go, Arthur already looks greasy. He already looks.
He has a
scummy.
comb over. He's
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
it's just
and
that.
David Spielberg has had a very distinguished career as a character.
Yeah, I recognize
Yeah.
him.
He's
Yeah.
a very good character actor, very solid. Usually plays sort of sympathetic cops, like not bad cops, but good cops, sympathetic
Yeah.
lieutenants, and not uniformed guys, but suited guys. He seems like a nice guy, but they made him look swarthy and sweaty.
Oh yeah.
And like, why don't you just put a bush jacket on that guy and make him look as creepy as possible?
totally.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing leads to another, and Elise and the kids go to help Steven unload some tapes or something that is going to be used for the pledge drive, and Mallory and Uncle Arthur are left alone. And this dialogue was so heavy-handed, like you just knew, like his intentions were very, very clear, and so much to the point that Mallory even has to address the fact of, yeah, I'm 15.
Right. He's
She's
like, oh,
pretty
you're a young
aggressive in
woman.
defending herself.
Oh,
Yeah,
first
right
of all,
off the
I was
bat.
impressed that they gave her agency enough to quickly acknowledge what was going on.
Yes,
Like,
I did. Yes.
she wasn't some idiot who was like, oh, thanks, Uncle Arthur, everything's fine, and then he grabs her ass. No, the whole time she was like, no, young girl, young me, I'm young. And
She's reminding him. Yeah, she clearly feels uncomfortable from the get-go.
But I sort of feel as though that plays counterpoint to the fact that they have been slowly trying to dumb Mallory down.
Yeah.
And the fact still remains is she's not that dumb.
right.
She even has that that line about, oh, she loves to talk on the phone, which is sort of like that dumb teenage girl thing. Oh,
Right.
I love to talk.
Oh, yeah, I
I
love to talk on the
love
phone.
to talk on the phone. And then a moment later, she's like, I'm 15. Oh,
Yeah.
no,
No,
15 years
15.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Reminding you sleazebag that I'm 15 years old.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's very uncomfortable, and it gets to the point where Arthur, she says, "Give your Arthur a hug." They hug, and he reaches down and pats her ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I wrote ass grab.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty
yeah.
easy to spot.
Yeah.
You know.
Also,
And
it's just weird.
I don't know
what
whether. Yeah. Go for it, Corey. Sorry.
I was just saying it's a weird moment. It's just a weird moment. It ends weirdly. That's how the scene ends.
Yeah. It was just. And I mean, and it ends. I mean, I want to say Justine Bateman does a fantastic job throughout this whole entire episode. She really does a great job.
Both in how she says her lines and her blank reactions to a lot of it, or her, I shouldn't say blank, but her reactions to everything were subtle and believable and real.
Very.
And confused. Like, genuine confusion, like, which was great.
Yeah. She confused of the...
And that's how she leaves the scene.
She was confused on how to feel about the things that were happening to her. And so she was also, at the same time, wise enough, she's an actress, wise enough to be honest, to let all of those, when she was wise enough to understand what was going on, but at the same time didn't know how to express herself as an adolescent. And so as an actress, Justine Bateman nailed it.
And if you were 15 and confused, what do you do in scene 2? You go and talk to Alex P. Keaton about this, right? So that's where we move on. We move on to the next scene, and it's Mallory and Alex, who's relatively uninterested in everything she has to say.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought actually, you know, as far as, because I mean, we'll discuss like the politics of this as far as like, you know, when you are abused and stuff like that, and we'll get into all of the information of like if you have been, who to talk to, and things like that. But that scene with Alex, I felt was very true to life. Where
I wrote that down too.
That Alex, he's mansplaining at her. He's dismissing her claims, and then she dismisses them herself and internalizes his male point of view. However, he's not portrayed as being correct. In fact, ironically, in the universal irony, he's completely wrong. He's saying that it's probably this, you're just wrong about this and that. And she's like, I've never felt so felt so happy about being wrong before. And I think that because Alex is this, you know, young Republican and he's a douchebag and all this sort of stuff, that they use that perspective to great reward, where it's like, he is her older brother. He's not a parent. He's not a friend of this guy. He's her peer. And so, of course, this young girl would approach her older brother because it's about sex, and it would feel weird to talk to her mother or father. But at the same time, it's handled, the problematic quality that he handles it with is done very deftly, I thought.
And you're totally right on the dynamic being sort of kind of weird. She goes to him. He sort of tries to twist it back and make it seem as though maybe you misunderstood, maybe that you didn't pick up the right signals. All I could think of is it's exactly what happens on a Dr. Phil episode.
Sure.
Where there's some molester, and then there's someone in their family who just doesn't listen to the words that the child who was molested says. And then now this is where we start getting into a whole psychological thing where it's your fault. It's not the fault of the adult who should know better and be responsible and control themselves. It's
the victim blaming. It's victim blaming.
Exactly.
It's a 15-year-old. It's the question. The equivalent question is, what were you wearing, Mallory?
Right. Were you asking for it? Yeah, exactly. And to kind of go along with Paul, what you were saying, the whole tone of that scene for me, and you know, a tribute to the writing and the performance, is I watched that scene and it's like, you know, at this point in the show, Alex is probably one of the most likable characters, but in that scene, I did not like him at all.
Nope.
I was like, I don't like you right now. You're completely wrong. You're not helping your sister.
Totally.
Wait a minute.
And let me say this too. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Corey.
I was just saying, I don't think he understood the importance of what he was saying. I don't think he was reading a newspaper or something, and he never put it down to make eye contact and wait, you're coming to me with a problem about sex? Let's talk about this.
Totally.
Right.
And that's the
Never
thing. I
does.
think that's why I think it's used to good effect, because he's not some like Mary Sue character where he just is the best at everything.
Right.
They're using his politics and worldview against him. And I thought that was really good that they did that. Because he is the type of older brother who wouldn't give a shit. And because he's so self-absorbed, he's a product of that. Let me say this too, based on their not understanding each other and stuff like that, this episode was directed by Will Mackenzie. He, very quickly, just a quick bio, started as an actor, did stuff on Broadway, did a bunch on TV, was a recurring character on the Bob Newhart Show, of course, and started directing TV from that. And then he directed this episode, it was his first Family Ties episode, and he directed and won a DGA, Directors Guild Award, for My Name is Alex, which is in season 4.
Ah.
It's probably one of the most famous Family Ties episodes ever, where it's very informed by like an Our Town sort of aesthetic, where it's almost like a play.
I can't wait till we get to that episode.
And the staging in this episode and in this scene are so theatrical, where when she finally explains what exactly happened between her and Arthur, like he's like, just tell me what happened. Alex is sitting at the drafting board in the kitchen. And he's looking off stage right, and then Mallory is standing, looking off stage left, way in the background, by the island in the kitchen. And she's saying, "He hugged me, his hand moved down," and they're both looking in opposite directions.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand the import of what she's saying, and she feels very uncomfortable talking about herself in a sexual way. And it's just a great directorial staging, and Will Mackenzie, throughout the episode, does that.
If Alex was looking at Mallory, he would have had a much better idea of exactly what had happened, or she could have shown him in the, touch the doll where he touched you,
Right.
But I don't think you got the importance of the fact that he grabbed my ass. And that was really important. Here's a 50-year-old man grabbing a 15-year-old girl's ass. That's wrong.
Totally.
Yeah. All right, so that happens. So Mallory walks away from that scene feeling like, okay, I got it wrong. I got his intentions all wrong and everything. And then we go to the next day, and for what is kind of a B storyline, finally, Stephen is obsessed with working on his speech and getting it just right.
The speech is for Arthur, right?
Yes. Well, is it one? Is he? I think he's drafted 2. I think the first one is about the pledge drive, and then he also has a, which again, one too many speeches. He's working one up for the pledge drive, and Arthur's there is in their living room listening to this.
Yes.
And then they present later, and then Stephen brings up later he wrote a speech for Arthur too, and that's when Mallory talks to Elise about Arthur. But before that, the situation gets worse, where again, Mallory is left alone in the room with Arthur, and Arthur, of course. Arthur tries to apologize for what, or seemingly, quotation marks, apologizing for what happened and how it was misunderstood. And Mallory said, "Oh yeah, I understand. I realized that and everything." And they go. She goes over to him to shake his hand, and then he brings her in and kisses her hard on the mouth.
Now, this is where I thought, this is typical molester behavior. Molesters try and gain trust so that they can do what they want to do.
Right.
And the apology, to me, was the creepiest thing in the whole world.
Yes, that was the creepy, because his intentions were there the whole entire time.
Right, exactly. So here I am, I'm trying to be honest with you and apologize, and it was totally inappropriate, and he's trying to gain her trust so that he could wait for some physical thing to happen that he can leap on her and kiss her.
Totally, and they call it grooming for the most part, where it's you're constantly a molester or abuser or whatever is constantly upping the physical contact or whatever contact they can make with the child, etc. person that they're trying to seduce, and so they'll start with wrestling and then try to amp up the game, and then they'll constantly apologize and use the gray area of, is this being sexual, is this being non-sexual, in order to figure out the victim that they can push the furthest, and that is in the scene exactly what he's doing.
Right.
Do you think that Arthur, in the back of Arthur's mind, he was, because I can't believe that Arthur hadn't seen Mallory for a long time. I can't believe that he'd been so
that long.
Yeah. And do you think maybe Arthur's making a move? I mean, we could analyze Arthur for a whole episode, but do you think Arthur's making a move because he's leaving town?
That, well, I mean, not to jump too far ahead, yeah, that could play into it in the character breakdown. I know they talk about, like, he talks about at the end, and this is only what we find out at the end, like, I think his wife has left him. It seems like he's lonely.
Yes,
and that
when he makes that last speech.
Yeah, and I had an issue with that.
Personally, I have very little sympathy with regard to trying to figure out what his motives were. I would just say that the Family Ties team are trying to figure out and make a dramatic structure based on why a person would do this, and because they have the character there, they can put their own thought processes into his head, and I think that whatever thought process they put into there are the wrongest parts of this episode. I think that it's wrong-headed in their attempt, and it's wrong-headed in their execution. And so there might be reasons, like psychologists and psychiatrists could probably, explain why a person would do such a thing, and based on past abuse or whatever. But in this episode, to me, it rings the falsest. Yeah,
that's not the, and that was my issue too. The reasons that they give for Arthur being the way he is, that's not. To me, that didn't ring true at all. That sounded. It's like, oh, you're just having a midlife crisis.
It sounded like an excuse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's not. Yeah, exactly. But back to this. Okay, so this happens. Obviously, Mallory is extremely shooken up, and tries to go to Alex again. And once again, we have Michael J. Fox sweating bullets throughout this whole entire speech. I know there's a bunch of times where we'll see. I think we could devise a drinking game around this of Alex being panicky, but he is extremely panicky. And finally, and at least they give him the moment of finally caving in and be like, "Okay, I admit something's wrong, and you need to talk to Mom about it." At least they have Alex say that, so that redeems the character a little bit in this episode.
Yeah, I'll say this. Based on everything that we're saying, and this was 1982, so this is almost, 35 years ago.
Right.
The thing that makes me really, look at this episode and say, not bad in its handling, is the way it handles the character's response to the situation. Not so much the dissecting why it happens, but the way the other characters respond to Mallory, to me, are the most realistic and the most helpful in order to project into the future with other women and girls who have this happen to them. It's not perfect, but at the time, it was really good.
It's actually great. And going along with what you were talking about grooming, Paul, it's like, in the microcosm of this episode, that's what that last scene with Arthur and Mallory is all about, or that we just described. Is they don't have all this time to make progressively make Arthur creepier and creepier. They have to do it in that span of time. So what might come across by today's standards as maybe slightly cheesy and soap opera-y actually works really, really well.
Well, I think what you just said is really smart, Scott. There's a real trick to writing a dramatic show. They have 47 minutes, and a comedic show you got 22 minutes.
Right.
You just don't have a lot of time to make those smooth transitions and subtle character choices. You just got to go from scene to scene.
Yeah.
And it does seem a little jarring in this, especially given the subject material. But ultimately, I agree. I think everyone sort of kind of handled it well. I mean, at the beginning of Act 2, Elise reveals that she too had been
it happened to her, something like that.
Can we discuss that part where Mallory discusses with Elise? So everybody leaves, or Alex leaves the room, and she's
they get Mom.
Mom comes in, and so Mallory says, the first thing that made me start to cry in this episode was where she says, "Don't get mad at me for saying this," and it was just so honest.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's such a
yeah.
victory thing. Yeah, that you're going to get angry at me for saying this about.
Oh my God, that broke my heart.
When Justine Bateman started to cry of how embarrassed she was.
About how she was embarrassed and scared. Because Elise says, "Did he hurt you?" That was the first thing that the mom said. Was, "Did he hurt you?" And she's like, "No, but I was so scared," and blah blah blah. And it was just that scene alone made this episode worth having. Because
I agree.
It was just gorgeous. The acting, the writing, and the pathos that it investigated.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. And like Corey was saying, when we find out Elise confesses to Mallory that a similar thing happened to her with a family friend.
Which now sent me off to do research. Finding out of molestations, what percentage, it's 13% with a father or stepfather, 30% with a different relative in the family, 16% from a neighbor or someone who's around in the neighborhood, and 17% of molestations take place through a family friend.
Yeah.
Wow.
Your Uncle Arthur. That's almost 20% or is Uncle Arthur's.
Yeah.
And so can I just throw these out there? If you, a listener, a friend of a listener, etc., are having these sorts of issues, if you know someone who's been abused in any way, go to RAINN.org. It's RAINN.org. It's the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. It's the nation's largest anti-sexual violence organization. It operates the National Sexual Assault Hotline. It's 1-800-656-HOPE, or go to online.rain.org. And that it also, 1 in 6 of American women are the victims of attempted or completed rape. And that is 17.7 million women as of the most recent study in about 2011. So I can't even imagine in 1982 what the numbers were, because it's also one of the most underreported crimes in the country.
Right. And the differentiation between rape and date rape, which is now prolific on college campuses everywhere.
Absolutely.
Major problem on every college campus. I mean, when Griffin, he recently had told me that on both colleges that he went to, which was Tufts and University of Michigan, he knew many, many women who had been date raped, and that it is an unspoken thing in college campuses. Women are date raped, and they just don't want to talk about it because they know no one's going to.
It gets caught up in the haze of, hey, this is college life. And
that's right. It's part of the culture of being in college. And that is just wrong. And I think we as parents have to start teaching boys that no means no. And that's all there is to it.
Yep.
I've taught both of my kids, ask the question before you proceed. Don't start fooling around with a girl without saying, is it all right that we're doing this?
Right. Let both of you be on the same page of where you want to take this.
Get consent so that you're not miscommunicating with each other.
And it's much more better.
It is.
It is. And also, and if you are a college listener right now listening to this show, I'm sure there is an organization on your campus that you can go and talk to, counselors that you can go and talk to. Please go. Don't leave it unreported. So. This is kind of becoming a very special episode for Family Cast too, as well.
This is Sweet Week. We're doing Sweet Week.
It's becoming very like Charlie Kaufman, and it is the thing what it is inside the thing.
It's really as close to an after-school special as these three guys are ever going to be in.
Yeah. Well, let's take a quick break. Can we take a quick break and then come back? So for our advertisers, here we go. On an act out, we're going to do a little joke. No, I don't have anything.
I got something. Before we go, I just want to make sure that everyone knows that it has been recorded. Corey Pepper said I said something smart.
I did. I said something. You did something
Corey
smart.
said something smart. So I feel good about that. All right.
If we keep doing this longer, Scott, eventually I'll say you said something funny.
I'm hoping, fingers crossed, but if it happens, it happens. I'm going to try for it, Corey.
We'll be right back. All right,
Corey,
we are back.
Let's check. Is Corey still there? I got Corey frozen on my screen. Pep?
All right, we might not be back. Corey?
Hold for editing.
Okay, well, this is good then.
This is great. We're doing good.
Oh, yeah. I'm just going to look at other numbers and stuff like that.
Okay.
Do you want me to text Corey, or are you texting him?
I'll text him right now and see what's going on. Okay, I think...
Nope. Oh,
if I need... Oh.
That was you.
If I need to resend him an invite, we'll find out.
Yeah, just hang up and do it again.
We don't even need to. I can invite it just from here right now. I can re-invite him.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So what do you think so far? Was I being too serious?
No, I think it's good. I think I like that we did that. I really do. Okay. He wants me to re-invite you. Okay, inviting Corey now.
Okay.
All right, this should get him back in. All right. Yeah, I'm glad we talked before we recorded.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to cover... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, no, go for it.
The other thing I wanted to cover was when we get to the last scene, why they don't even call the cops and stuff like that.
The last scene, but I'm with you. The last scene really bothered me.
Oh, sure.
Like you said, the reasoning and why the justification they give Arthur is just kind of off base.
Totally. But the thing is,
I got a ring coming in.
Oh, good. Okay. According to the statistics, you have. I'm not getting anything.
Hold on. I got a ringing. Oh no. Okay, let me try. Okay. Okay. Maybe I have to. Okay, I'm gonna get.
Oh, you know what? I think hang up and try again, because Corey's trying to do it on his end, and it's not going to be the same setup if we answer his call.
Okay. All right. So let me hang up.
Okay.
All right. I'll hang up, and then I'm gonna I'll make a note. This is gonna be part 2.
Yeah.
Of this. Okay. All right.
Cool.
Hanging up now.
Bye.
Cool.